Once upon a time, there was a brave little boy, and he was going on an adventure with his mom, his dad, his uncle named Joe, and a little golden retriever dog. And they were walking through the mountains of Utah. And this little boy noticed his dog ran off of the path, and when the dog came back, he was limping. One of the dog's paws was hurt. And so the little boy told his dad, "Our dog has a problem with his foot." And so the dad looked at the dog's foot and saw there was a little cactus needle inside of his foot. So we plucked the dog's little cactus needle out of his foot, and the dog felt much better and continued to walk and run and play. Well, the whole family continued walking when the little boy bravely stopped and said, "Mom, I have an ouchie. I need help." And so Mom stopped and looked and saw that her little boy was standing next to a cactus. And Mom said, "I'll be right there." And Mom and Dad rushed over to the little boy, who was very calm. He was doing a very good job being calm. And then they picked the little boy up, and then they took off his shoe. And the little boy went up on his dad's shoulders, and they started to walk away. And the little boy said, "I still have an ouchie in my toe." And so they took off his sock, and his dad saw in his little foot there was a cactus needle, just like that happened to the dog. And the brave little boy said, "It hurts." But he did not cry and scream. He was very brave and very strong. And the dad saw the needle in his big toe, and he looked to Uncle Joe and said, "Uncle Joe, can I hold his feet steady while he's sitting on my shoulders, and can you pluck it out?" And Uncle Joe said, "Yes." So Uncle Joe came close, and he held the little boy's foot tight while Dad had held him tight on his shoulders, and they plucked that cactus needle right out of the little boy's toe. And the little boy did not squirm, he did not fuss, he did not wiggle and jiggle and joggle. He was calm and still, so it was much easier to help him. And when the cactus needle was gone from his foot started to feel better. Well, that was such a big ouchie in his foot, just like the dog's foot, that the family decided to go home. So they walked back across the road, back across a path, down another road, and then they got home. And the little boy was so brave, and his feet were feeling so much better, that they played. And they looked at the little boy's shoe, and they cleared out all the cactus needles that were on the underside of it, and they made sure his socks were clear. And wouldn't you know, that brave and strong little boy wanted to go for another walk. But this time, we would make sure that we stayed on the big roads and not just the paths, because the paths sometimes had cactuses and crochets on it, because there's not a lot of people that walked on the paths, and the paths were not well maintained. But the hiking trails where the little boy lives in San Diego are much safer, because the people clear out the cactuses so they don't grow on the path. Well, this little boy, he learned a very important lesson. When you get an ouchie, you stop and call for help. And if you don't wiggle and jiggle and joggle, it makes it easier for a grown-up to help. And this little boy did everything right. He was so brave and so strong, and he felt so much better. and his toe was all fixed and all better. Now the dog, on the other hand, continued to run off the paths, and he got stuck in a cactus again. But we were able to pluck all of the little cactus needles from the dog's paw again and keep him off the road. And that little boy, when he was in Utah, he saw trees that normally had green leaves were turning yellow. And it was very, very pretty. And when the sun would set, there were so many colors in the sky, purple and orange, and of course a little bit of red, and it was very, very nice to see. And then at night, there were more stars in the sky that anyone could count. At his home in San Diego, you can only see a few stars in the sky because the city is so bright, and the city next to us is so bright, and the city north of us is so bright with so many people having lights on that you can't really see the stars very well. But in Utah, especially where the little boy was, where there's so few houses, only a few people live there, that it's so dark at night, you can look up high into the sky and see a lot of stars. And then that little boy, brave little boy, strong little boy, good little boy, would get so tired at night that he made, with all of his running around, he made his mom tired, his dad tired, and of course he made his Uncle Joe tired, and he even made Aunt Jenny tired. And when everyone got so tired, they decided that it was time to go to sleep. And the good thing about going to sleep is that it gets you ready and energized to go play again.
I made Uncle Joe sleepy.
Yes, that's right. The little boy made Uncle Joe sleepy. And he also made his dog sleepy because there was so much energy. And so then they all decided that yawns were a good thing. A yawn meant that your brain was getting sleepy, and that your brain wants you to take a nice deep breath and relax and close your eyes and feel the nice little blanket resting on top of you, and have your head on a nice little pillow, and you're cuddled in, and then you fall asleep.